All right, we're picking up where we left off last time with Genesis 23, and this is at a transition stage now. The story of Abraham is winding down, and Isaac's story will be picking up from here. Last time we talked a little bit about Sarah and her burial, her death and burial. She's 127 years old, and the significance of him really seeking a place to bury her, which is again not the common pagan practice, which would have been to just burn the bodies and throw them away. But this hope of this resurrection is there, and especially in the land that God has promised them. So there's a lot of significance to burials and where they're buried. And so Abraham is 137 years old. Sarah lives to 127, and then she dies. And now we pick up our story where Abraham is asking the Hittites to for a plot of land to bury his dead, and he has one in mind. And it's we talked last time a little bit about the way the Hittites talked about him, and the way Abraham talked about himself, and how do the Hittites refer to Abraham in our passage here? If you remember,
as a prince of God.
Yeah, you're my Lord. You're a prince of God among us. And then Abraham refers to himself, though, in verse 4. He doesn't refer to himself as a prince, but as a sojourner and a foreigner among you. This is the dual identity, which is really interesting. We talked about it in our Bible study on Tuesday with the men on going through First Peter, where Peter writes the letter to the elect exiles. He calls the Christians that he's writing to elect exiles, elect as in you're chosen. You are sons of God, you're royalty, and yet you are exiles. You're foreigners, you're strangers in this world. And this tension that we feel, that we are really special on the one hand to God, and yet we are trash to the world. And this is the situation with Abraham. He is, for those who recognize it, like the Hittites at this time at least, they see he's a prince of God. But to everyone else, he's just a sojourner. And there's a certain contempt for them. So let's pick it up here. Ephron is the guy that he wants to buy the land from, and let's pick it up there. Verse 10 down to 16. And Liz, would you start us off here?
Sure. Now Ephron was sitting among the Hittites, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites of all who went in at the gate of his city. No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the sight of the sons of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed down before the people of the land, and he said to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, but if you will hear me, I give the price for the field. Accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there. Ephron answered Abraham, my lord, listen to me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is it that between you and me? Bury your dead. Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver, according to the weights current among the merchants.
All right. So Ephron is the Hittite. He's the owner of the land. And what does he say to Abraham here? What is he offering? What is he saying to him at the beginning?
I'll give you the land.
You can have it.
Yeah. He offers the cave and the fields, right? For free to Abraham. That's a very nice offer. Abraham counters that offer, though. And what does he say?
400 shekels.
Yeah, he says, bows before the people of the land, and
I don't want anything for free. I'll pay you for it.
Yeah, I will pay for the field. Accept it from me. And then does Abraham give the price, or is that Ephron who gives the price? And Abraham bowed down.
Ephron.
Yeah, Ephron, here the people, if you will hear me, I give the price of the field, accept it from me. And then Ephron, okay, fine. it's how much it'll be, 400 shekels of silver. I don't know how much that is, if that's a good price for the land. I don't know if you have any notes on that. There's some debate about that. Some suggesting that that's way too much for the price of the land. Others are saying we don't really know how much a shekel of silver was worth at that time. I don't know if you guys have any notes in your study
We know
Bible.
how much a shekel weighs?
Not off the top of my head. We can do a quick search on that. Does anyone have a note on that in their study Bibles, or let me see if I got one here. Let me pull up
Nothing
my.
happened. It says at that time, a shekel was not a coin as such, but rather a specific weight, probably about 2/5 of an ounce.
How much?
2/5 of an ounce.
I got a note here. It says it's the 400 shekels was a high price, especially when compared with the field that Jeremiah bought for 17 shekels.
Okay, that's a good point. So then the question is Ephron's offer sincere? Is he someone to be trusted? Because we're dealing with Hittites here. These are people who were, part of the Canaanites, who are not necessarily of noble character. So 400 shekels at 2/5 of an ounce.
Hey, I just figured it out. It's about $4,800. That's at $30 an ounce. I don't know
Okay.
how much it was an ounce back then, but
$4,800 for that field. So I don't know. That seems like a reasonable price pretty good price for a field, isn't it? So we don't know how big the field is. That's the only difficulty, is we don't know how big, not given the dimensions of it. So
If
there's
it's got a cave in it, it's probably pretty rocky.
so the question is this is Ephron taking advantage of the situation? Is Ephron overcharging? You said compared to Jeremiah's field, which sold for how much?
14?
17 shekels, was it?
Hold on, I lost my place here.
I think it was 17.
He's 17.
For 17 shekels. But again, we don't know how big the field was that Jeremiah bought. We don't know. I mean, location. A field in the desert is not worth much at all versus, I mean, if you were to buy a field in Boston right now, how much would that cost you? Versus if you go out to North Dakota, compare that. It's like it's a different ballgame. So, but either case, it's quite possible that Ephron is seeing this and wants to take advantage of it. And the idea though is Abraham's response is either way. Abraham pays it out. And that I think is the significant part. He listens to him and he weighs out the silver. And notice how he does it. Did you catch it? I think that's a significant point.
In
Versus-
front of everybody.
In front of everyone, in front of the Hittites. Why is that important?
To show that he didn't shortchange them.
Yeah. So this is a public purchase. The problem with Ephron giving him the land and him just saying, "Oh, thank you so much, we'll take it," is what's to keep Ephron from just taking it back if he wants to, just kind of lending it to him and giving him trouble for it. Abraham is insistent, no, I'm going to buy this. This is going to be an official document purchase, and this is he does it in a public setting in front of everyone so that will be public record of this. There'll be no question that this field now belongs to Abraham. And this is God is now coming through on his promise to give him the land, and he gives him just a little taste of it, just a little portion of it, of the land that will be giving his descendants. So, all right, so we left off last time. Let's finish up our chapter here. So the field of Ephron, okay, and Rob, you want to get that for us, 17 to 20?
Pastor, can I interrupt for a second? I
Please.
forgot to mention, I have to leave here at 3 o'clock. So if I suddenly disappear, Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right, very good. Thanks.
I don't know if I'll see you next Friday, so we'll see how that plays out.
All right, very good.
Mm.
Rob, you want to get it from 17 to 20?
Yeah. So the field of Ephron in Machpelah, which was to the east of Mamre, the field with the cave that was in it, and all the trees that were in the field throughout its whole area, was made over to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the Hittites, before all who went in at the gate of his city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, east of Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. The field and the cave that is in it were made over to Abraham as property for a burying place by the Hittites.
So this completes that transaction. So it's the description of, so this now becomes Abraham's field. And tell me about this. It formerly was belonged to Ephron the Hittite. And what does he tell us about it?
It's a cave that was in it, and all the trees in the field throughout its whole area was made over to Abraham.
Yes. So it's formerly of Ephron and Mech. So it's to the east of Mamre. What is Mamre? He tells us later on.
Hebron.
Hebron. We'll maybe take a look at the map in a second and see what that is. You mentioned the field with the cave and all the trees too. Throughout its whole area was made over. So again, this could be a large area. We don't really told how big this field is. So
Interesting. I think Hebron is a Palestinian city today. I'm pretty sure it belongs to the West Bank or
Is
the
it
East
the-
Bank.
Okay, and then Abraham buries Sarah. Okay. Yeah, let's go back up here to our map. And there's Hebron right here.
Mhm.
Is that I don't know the modern day Israel what that looks like here, but
I'm pretty sure that it belongs to the East Bank
Hmm.
people,
Okay.
the Palestinian Authority.
interesting.
About 95.5% sure.
They control Bethlehem, don't they?
No, that's oh yes, they do, but it's open to Christians, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, because I remember in Bethlehem we were there were no Jews allowed to go into Bethlehem. Only the tourists could go in.
Really?
Yeah, because they were afraid of kidnapping. They the Israeli citizens were not permitted to go into Bethlehem, into that area. The tourists could go in with their buses, but the citizens could not because of concerns about that. So, yeah,
Imagine the city of David, they don't own, so to speak.
yeah, crazy. So, all right, so that's where we left off here. Let's
Yeah. You see that?
is
That's-
that the West Bank there? Okay,
Okay. And you can see Hebron.
let me put a little closer. Yeah, that is part of it. Yeah, you're right. Hebron, Bethlehem, Jericho too. Huh. That's a good look. That's a large location.
It is. They complain it's not enough.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We won't from the river to the sea, right? Is that what they say?
Yeah.
So all
Some-
right. Okay. What's that, Liz?
When you said that, it made me think of the protesters. So I said, what some people say.
Yes, that's what
Just being a
Yeah.
brat.
they don't mean it in a good way. That's unfortunate. So let me try to find I lost my page here. Genesis notes. Okay, here we go. All right. So we're picking up, let's start with chapter 24 now. And Jack, you want to read this for us here? We'll start with 1 to 9. Now we have sort of the aftermath of Sarah's death and what happens next. Let me pull it up. Okay, good.
Now Abraham was old, well advanced in years, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said to his servant, the oldest of his household, who was in charge of all that he had, "Put your hand under my thigh, that I may make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but will go to my country and to my kindred and take a wife for my son Isaac." The servant said to him, "Perhaps the woman may not be willing to follow me to this land. Must I then take your son back to the land from which you came?" Abraham said to him, "See to it that you do not take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and who spoke to me and swore to me, 'To your offspring I will give this land,' he will send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. But if this woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from this oath of mine. Only you must not take my son back there." So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning his matter.
Okay. All right. So we have the setup here. So Sarah is dead, and Abraham is old. I don't know if you have any idea of how old he is at this time. I'll give you a hint. Isaac is going to be 40 years old when he marries Rebecca.
So he's 137 is what we just said.
No, that was when she died. That's when Sarah dies. He's 137. But how old is Abraham when Isaac was born?
100.
100.
He's 100. So he is about 100 years, 140 years old now. So so this is soon after Sarah dies, between 137 and 140 years old. So he's 140 when Isaac gets married, as we'll find at the end of the chapter. He's 137 when Sarah dies. So now we have this span of time, sometime between there. So Abraham is interesting. He gives two instructions. Instructions for his servant. What's the first thing he tells him to do?
Well, he makes him put his hand under his thigh, which is a covenant to swear, promise.
Yeah. Hand under your thigh. Anyone have any notes on that? Hand under his thigh, what that means?
It says here in the Reformation Study Bible, it's kind of a strange thing, but it says, "The loins were viewed as the source of vital and procreative power.
Yeah.
Such an oath is inviolable even after the death of the one to whom it was sworn." That doesn't tell me much.
All right, so this is taking an oath, taking an unbreakable oath. Is that the idea here?
I guess it's inviolable, so.
All right. And swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and earth, that you will not. And so he's going to swear. He's taking an oath here, and what is he swearing to do?
Make sure he doesn't marry a Canaanite.
Yeah, do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. But what if he really loves her? What about that? Why is that a big deal? Why can't he do that? Because that's kind of like telling, basically saying to your son, do not marry an American woman. You're living in the land with them. That's all they are American women around here. I have to leave here and go to another place to find a wife now. Why is that important?
Well, God had told him, have nothing to do with these foreign people, whatever they, it was very important that there be no idolatry or those kind of practices brought into the nation, what have you. So.
thought it
Yeah.
was Abraham's bloodline clean.
Yeah, well, the Canaanites are what
Pagan.
what is interesting is though it's for this time, it's not for all time, because there are Canaanites in the line of Christ.
Yeah.
At least one that we know of. Maybe more. Who's the one that we definitely know of is in the line of Christ who's a Canaanite?
Ruth? I mean Moabite, but
The Moabite, that's descendant of Lot. But Rahab is of Jericho. And so this is not an absolute rule for all of them, but for Abraham and for Isaac and Jacob, these patriarchs here, it's going to be, you'll notice that among the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they're very diligent about the purity of this, and that they all of these women that they're going to take for wives are coming from the line of Terah. They're all from Terah's family. So as we mentioned before, if you remember, we left off before that little mini genealogy of when Abraham finds out that he gets news that his brothers got lots of kids now up in Haran. And one of them mentioned is Rebecca. Of course, we know what's going to happen there. But the Canaanites are a cursed people, destined for destruction. Whereas Abraham line, Abraham and these patriarchs are destined for blessing. So there needs to be this clear separation. So that's the first thing. Don't take a wife from the daughters of the Canaanites. Now, what's interesting, he says, is what does he say to do then? Where's he to go instead? If he needs to leave there, where should he go?
to his kindred.
Yeah. And where is he going to go? What place is that? Go to
Haran?
this is his country. Where's his country? What is it?
Haran?
Haran. That's right. Go to Haran. Go to my country, to my kindred, and take a wife. Find a good cousin for him. For Isaac. Okay. The servant then responds. What's the servant's question for him?
What if she doesn't come back? Or she won't come back?
But yeah, if there are no willing women, and that's a real, think about it. You're asking a woman, a young woman, to leave her home and all the protections and comforts of it, and they own that country. Remember, it's named Haran because it was named after Abraham's brother Haran, who died. And so they really they have possession of this land. They are well set up there, and we'll find out later how wealthy Laban is. Well, Laban is a very powerful and wealthy man when we get to Jacob's story. That's Rebekah's brother. So they're well set up there, and you're asking her to leave that and to journey into a far territory among enemies and live as a dweller in tents. I mean, it's like a calling to the mission field, basically. You're going out there, so to leave all the security. So
I think it's more importantly for a woman, especially in those days, they were very, what do you call it? Not matriarchal, but the women helped one another. So she's leaving her
Yeah.
mother, her sisters, her aunts, and they're a very close-knit group. So she'd be leaving everybody she loves and knows.
yeah, and she's leaving the comforts, the security, the support, all that of home, to go to a strange land and live as sojourners and living among your enemies now. That's a fearful thought. It's a very fearful thought. And so what if she doesn't come?
You just rope them, bring them in.
Yeah. What Abraham says something very interesting. what is his instruction then if she doesn't go?
Whatever you do, don't take my son there.
Don't take my son back there. So he's saying, look, take a wife from there, bring her here, but don't take him back there. He is not to go back there. Now that's a good question. Why is that? Why would that be such a requirement that why is Isaac forbidden to go back to Haran?
Because he would be under Haran's family and rule,
Like-
and he wouldn't get the promised land.
Is
Yeah,
it kind of, is it kind of like going back to Egypt? You know, we're heading to the promised land, so to speak. We're not going back any place.
Yeah, not it's not for him. Now Jacob, it's interesting, later on will be sent back under duress when and his brother wants to kill him. He'll go back there. But not for Isaac to go back. And it's very similar to, if you remember, when there was a famine in the land in Genesis 12. And Abraham, normally you would go back to your family, go back, get out of the land and go up to Haran, and then that's where your support is. That's where you'd be safe. You come home. Like if there's trouble, if you had your son or a family member who was over in let's say in Afghanistan, and trouble hits, and before the troops pull out, you get news of this, you're like, come home. And you immediately he get him on a plane, get him out of there, get him home where he's safe. But instead of coming home, he leaves Afghanistan, he goes to Iran. He goes to a place maybe even more dangerous in one sense. And so Abraham, if you remember, during the famine, left and fled to Egypt. He didn't go back to Haran. He went further away from there. He never goes, Abraham never goes back. He travels quite a bit, but he never goes back home. And same thing for Isaac. It's not for him to go back. There's no turning back on this. So don't take my son back there, whatever you do. And he does say, gives him a promise.
If the woman won't come, you're free from this obligation.
Yes. If she doesn't come, then you're free. Okay. If it doesn't work, then you are free. Your oath is satisfied if somebody's, but he knows that it will work. What does he say? How can he be so sure the woman is going to return with him?
Because God gave them that land and he wants his son in that land.
Yeah. He knows that the Lord promised, right, that the offspring would come through Isaac.
And the Lord promised the offspring this land.
That's right. And therefore Isaac needs a wife. If God's going to keep his promise, he needs a woman to do this. He can't do it himself. And so God will provide a woman. He says, as the Lord, the God of heaven, he will, let me see if he says, say it there. He said, the Lord, he sent his angel before you.
It's 7.
He will send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son there. Abraham knows the Lord is going to take care of this. But the servant doesn't. So he says, look, if it doesn't come through for you, then you're free. So you don't have to worry about it. But he knows he's going to come through for him. There is a confidence in Abraham because of the promise of God, because God gave him his word. So the servant puts his hand on his thigh and he swears to him concerning the matter. So that's where we left off there. Let's pick up our next part of the story here in verse 10 to, where are we, 14. Bob, do you want to get that for us?
Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed, taking all sorts of choice gifts from his master And he arose and he went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. And he made the camels kneel down outside the city by the well of water at the time of evening, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, O Lord God of my master, Abraham, please grant me success today and show steadfast love to my master Abraham. Behold, I am standing by the spring of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Let the young woman to whom I shall say, please let down your jar that I may drink, and who shall say, drink, and I will water your camels. Let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Isaac. By this I shall know that you have shown steadfast love to my master.
Okay. All right. So the servant takes how many? 10 camels and departs with gifts to the city of Nahor. All right. I think Nahor isn't that his brother's name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So they have cities named after these guys. That's how important these people are. He makes to Nahor. So Nahor would have been Rebecca's grandfather, right? Is that Abraham's brother? To the city of Nahor. Okay. And he made the camels kneel by the well at the time of evening and the time when the women go out now it's at evening when women go for water. All right, and he says he now prays. And what does he pray? What's his?
He prays for success.
Yeah.
In his mission.
Oh Lord, grant me success and show steadfast love. Essentially, he's that phrase twice. Love to Abraham. That faithfulness. Keep your promise that you've made. And he says he asks for a sign. And what will be the sign that this is the woman?
She's kind.
Yeah. But what will she do? What will the woman do when she comes?
She will serve him. She will get him water and also water the camels.
Yeah. So he's going to say, here's the test, which is really interesting. I will ask for water from your jar. I'm just going to ask for a drink. That's all he's going to ask for. A drink of water. And she will offer water for him and the camels.
Mm.
Do you know how much water 10 camels drink?
Lot.
I had it written down somewhere before, but it is an astounding amount of water that a camel can drink. I'll have to find the exact amount here, but if I have some notes on it here, maybe. What verse are we in here? That was last old.
14, 13.
13, is it? The camels. Let me see if I got it here.
No, it's in 14. Sorry.
Oh, I gotta find it. I mentioned it in a sermon one time when I preached that passage, and it is hundreds of gallons. It is so much water that she would be having to unload for them. This is an enormous act of grace for her to do something like that. To not just because all he's doing is asking for a drink. And the sign will be she's going to water the camels too. That kindness, that grace, that steadfast love, is what he's looking for. And then he'll know that you've shown steadfast love to my master. So It's not simply if I let down my jar and I ask for a drink, she gives me a drink, because most women would do that. You know, they would show courtesy like that. But to offer to water the camels, that's beyond. That's well above and beyond. So
And wasn't she the oldest sister? She probably had all her little sisters taking care of it.
it didn't. I don't know. I don't know how many sisters. It's not mentioned how many sisters she had.
I have 4 older sisters. I know how that feels.
She might have been the only sister. There might not have been any other daughters in the family, because we went back to our genealogy before, and we were told back in 22 that, well, we only mentioned the brothers' names.
Yeah.
Kemuel. So Milcah is born to Nahor, your brother. Children, and it's just Uz, Buz, Kemuel, Chesed, Hazel, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. And then Bethuel fathered Rebecca. That's all we're told. We don't know. We know that she had a brother Laban, but there's no other mention of any other siblings besides that. There might be, but yeah. Now she would have, again, they're wealthy. She may have had servants. I'm sure she would have servants to help with that too. But so I don't think it was just her lugging all the water for him. She certainly could have gotten perhaps some help with that. But that's a big task. Even if she gets help with it, it's a big task to organize.
I wonder how much water would fit into one of the jugs that they carried. That would make them extremely strong.
Yeah. Yes.
I just did a quick Google search there, Pastor, and it says that a thirsty camel could drink up to 30 gallons of water in a few minutes. So times
Wow.
that by 10.
300 gallons.
A thirsty camel can drink up to 30 gallons of water in how many?
Just a few minutes, it says.
Few minutes. So they're probably, each camel might be drinking 100 gallons of water. And then you've got like 10 camels. That's a lot of water. Holy cow.
The water's heavy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And to pull that all up. And so that's a very gracious woman to even think. And again, the important point is he doesn't ask her to do that. He's only asking her just to pour me a drink, and that she will be of the kind to notice that the camels need water and to be willing to grant such a favor to him is truly a gracious woman. She's really a remarkable woman, as we see here.
She might be the original low maintenance female.
Yeah, it's a real gift. This is kind of
Very low maintenance.
This is the kind of woman I want my son to marry. That's for sure. So that's great. So, all right, let's pick up our next section here. Let me just do a little page break. And Liz, you want to read this before you have to go? 15 to 21.
Before he had finished speaking, behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her water jar on her shoulder. The young woman was attractive in appearance, a maiden who no man had known. She went down to the spring and filled her jar and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, "Please give me a little water to drink from your jar." She said, "Drink, my lord." And she quickly let down her jar upon her hand and gave him a drink. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, "I will draw water for your camels also until they have finished drinking." So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough and ran again to the well to draw water, and she drew for all his camels. The man gazed at her in silence to learn whether the Lord had prospered his journey or not.
Okay. So the Lord answers now before he even finishes his prayer. And again, showing the love of the Lord for Abraham in this. And so we told about Rebecca now. And who is she again?
She is the
So she's
she is related to Abraham's brother Nahor.
so she's the daughter of Bethuel, who is the so she's the granddaughter
Niece of Abraham?
of Nahor, which is Abraham's brother. So she would be the niece. Would that be correct?
Yeah.
I guess she's the grandniece of Abraham.
On that note, I gotta go. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Liz.
Bye,
Good to see you.
guys. Have a good day.
Bless. God bless.
All right, so she comes out with her water jar, and what are we told about Rebecca?
She gives him the water.
Well, before that, in verse 16, we're
Oh,
told
she's beautiful, a virgin,
very
and no
attractive
man had relations with her.
appearance, a virgin maiden. She's just perfect for wife material here. She went down to the spring to fill her jar and came up. So the servant sees her, runs to meet her. This is first shot. He's not even like, this is pretty easy now. Servant runs to meet her and asks for a drink, and she responds,
Drink, my lord.
yes. And she gives him drink and then offers to draw water for the camels until they have finished drinking. That's just, we talk about just 30 gallons in a couple of minutes. Who knows how many gallons? When will the camels be finished drinking? We're not sure. So she quickly emptied her jar in the trough and ran again to the well to draw water, and she drew for all the camels. She did it herself. Is that right?
Yeah. So I don't know how much you would be able to pull up on a well, maybe a gallon or two, and they can each drink 30 gallons very quickly, 10 of them. She's got very powerful triceps.
She's a hardworking woman here. And so the man just is stunned. The servant is stunned. He gazes at her in silence. Sort of watches in silence to see if the Lord has indeed prospered his journey or not. Will she meet the criteria? Is she going to, basically the question for him is now, is this woman, he doesn't know if she is the right one until he asks her the question of, where are you from? Are you from Abraham's family? And so let's see what happens next. 22 to 28. Rob, you want to get that?
Yeah. When the camels had finished drinking, the man took a gold ring weighing a half shekel and 2 bracelets for her arms weighing 10 gold shekels and said, "Please tell me whose daughter you are. Is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" She said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor." She added, "We have plenty of both straw and fodder and room to spend the night." The man bowed his head and worshiped the Lord and said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his steadfast love and his faithfulness towards my master. As for me, the Lord has led me in the way to the house of my master's kinsman." Then the young woman ran and told her mother's household about these things.
All right. So the servant then gives her gold ring, 2 bracelets of gold, and then whose daughter are you? And she responds, basically, servant realizes that who is Rebecca is of his kinsman.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was the prescription that Abraham had given.
Yeah, that Rebecca fits the description perfectly. Rebecca is in the house of Abraham's kinsman. As if she was just particularly chosen. It's exactly what Abraham said. That just think about the way that God guided this whole thing. Abraham knew the angel of the Lord is going to guide you. He is going to lead you to the one. He goes there and he just prays and she just shows up right there. Before he's even finished praying, there she is. It couldn't have worked out better. And she fits every description he's looking for. She's of the house of Nahor, of Abraham's brother. And so he's rejoicing at this. Blessed be the Lord, the God of Abraham, who has not forsaken his steadfast love and his faithfulness. He's kept his promise, and he's ready to go. So the young woman, so Rebecca runs back to her household, to her mother's household, and to tell about these things. All right, let's see what happens next. Let's see, Jack, you want to get the next section there, 29 to 33?
Rebecca had a brother whose name was Laban or Laban.
Yeah, Laban.
Rebecca had a brother whose name was Laban. Laban ran out toward the man to the spring. As soon as he saw the ring and the bracelets on his sister's arms and heard the words of Rebecca, his sister, thus the man spoke to me. And he went to the man, and behold, he was standing by the camels at the spring. He said, "Come in, O blessed of the Lord. Why do you stand outside? For I have prepared the house and a place for the camels." So the man came into the house and unharnessed the camels and gave straw and fodder to the camels. And there was water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. Then food was set out before him to eat, but he said, "I will not eat until I have said what I have to say." He said, "Speak on."
All right, so Laban appears now. Who is Laban?
Brother of Rebecca.
Yeah, Rebecca's brother runs out toward the man when he sees what Rebecca is wearing and how she's come back him and the story she tells. And he invites the man, invites the servant, and what does he call him?
O blessed of the Lord.
Yeah, come in, O blessed of the Lord. That's the significance of there is he's not he's invoking the name of God. He's not Laban has knowledge of the Lord, of Yahweh, and he's invoking him and saying, "This is you're blessed of the Lord. Come in." He's not invoking any pagan gods of any kind here. Why do you stand outside? I've prepared a place for the camels, and he invites him to eat. But what does the servant to eat? What else? Wait a minute. He gives, this is classic Middle Eastern hospitality. He offers a place to stay, and what else does he do?
Well,
Takes care of the camels.
Feeds the camels, feed for the camels. One more thing he does.
water to wash his feet.
Yeah, he brings water for his feet. That's why this is traditional hospitality. He doesn't wash the man's feet. He brings water for him to wash his feet, and that's one of the things that the washing of the feet of the disciples is such a big deal. It was hospitality that the host would offer water for the feet. Not that he would wash your feet, but that he would offer water for your feet, and he does that who are with him. And then food is set before him. So these are all, everything is just, it's a clear sign of welcoming hospitality. You're one of us. There's no resistance. We are friends. There's no tensions whatsoever. But the servant says he refuses to eat until what?
He tells him my business, what I'm here for.
Yeah, will not eat until he can speak. Okay. This is not time to rest and to celebrate. We have some business to take care of. All right. So let's take care of business here. All right. Insert break here. All right. Bob, back to you here if you want to get the next paragraph here. 34 to 41.
So he said, I am Abraham's servant. the Lord has greatly blessed my master, and he has become great. He has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male servants and female servants, camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and to him he has given all that he has. My master made me swear, saying, you shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but you shall go to my father's house and to my clan and take a wife for my son. I said to my master, perhaps the woman will not follow me. But he said to me, the Lord before whom I have walked will send his angel with you and prosper your way. You shall take a wife for my son from the clan and from my father's house. Then you will be free from my oath when you come to my clan. And if they will not give her to you, you will be free from my oath.
All right, so the servant now recounts what we've already read. He kind of restates what was said earlier, but I want you to notice, come through it one more time as we look at what he says precisely, that he's reminding us once again, as we see throughout this book, of the promises that God made to Abraham and how God is faithfully fulfilling those promises. And remember the promises of God. What were the three promises to Abraham?
Land, make you a great nation, and all the world will be blessed through your seed.
Yes, yes. So the recalls the instructions and the blessings promised to Abraham. And the three blessings, as we said one more time, are, I will bless you, or so we'll start with, he says, well, first he says, go to the land that I'm giving to you, right? So it's the promise of the land. And then I'm going to make a great nation out of you, the descendants. And then I will bless you, and you'll be a blessing, and all nations will be blessed through you. And so we have reference to all of them, that God has greatly blessed my master. And even remember, he says, and he has become great. God said that I will make your name great also to him. And he tells how has he greatly blessed my master. What has he done? Well,
He's become rich. He's become rich. He's got flocks and herds and silver and gold, servants, maids, camels, donkeys.
Yeah, great wealth possessions here. So we have that. Then he says the descendants. He says in verse 36, how has God kept that promise of giving him descendants? Well, he has given him a son in his old age, and her old age. Okay. And then as far as the land goes, well, he talks about the land in which he dwells. He gives mention of that, but we just had he mentions the land of Canaan.
He's given all the possessions to Isaac.
Yep. Isaac is the sole heir. It's over here in descendants. And Abraham now is he's dwelling in the land of Canaan, where where he has been promised, and he's been there for how long has he been there now? He's 140 at this point. He's been there now for 65 years. This is for the last 65, and he finally has a piece of property. owns a
That's a
field.
lot of trust. That's a lot of trusting over a long time.
Yeah. So I mean, really, there's this. The blessing is clearly a God-given blessing. There's no way that a man can dwell as a sojourner in a strange land of such enemies and gather such wealth as he does. That's impossible. And if you remember, especially given the trials that he'd been through, Abraham should be homeless. I mean, it's not like he's a smart businessman. It's not like he should have been, and when they had the famine and he goes to Egypt, that should have been the end of the story. It should have ended right there. And then many other times when he got into trouble and God delivers him. And the descendants, there's no reason he should even have a son from Sarah, given their age and everything. These impossible ways, but God has come through and blessed him. And he says, the Lord will take care of this too. All right. So he presents that story, reminds us once again of God's promises to them. And there's a lot more of the story here. We'll maybe finish it up next time. We're getting kind of close to the end. Maybe let's read one more paragraph, and then we'll break it off there. So we will leave off here. Rob, you want to get the next section there, 42 down to 49.
42 to 49. Okay. I came today to the spring and said, "O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, if now you are prospering the way that I go, behold, I am standing by the spring of water. Let the virgin who comes out to draw water, to whom I shall say, please give me a little water from your jar to drink, and who will say to me, drink, and I will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom the Lord has appointed for my master's son." Before I had finished speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came out with her water jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew water. I said to her, "Please let me drink." She quickly let down her jar from her shoulder and said, "Drink, and I will give your camels drink also." So I drank, and she gave the camels drink also. Then I asked her, "Whose daughter are you?" She said, "The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him." So I put the ring on her nose and the bracelets on her arms. Then I bowed my head and worshiped the Lord and blessed the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who had led me by the right way to take the daughter of my master's kinsman for his son. Now then, if you are going to show steadfast love and faithfulness to my master, tell me. And if not, tell me that I may turn to the right hand or to the left.
Okay. All right. So he finishes the story. He tells us a whole story again. So that's significant to do that. He adds a little details in this that add a little more perspective to it. So he came to the spring and he's praying there. And he says something in verse 45, which is very interesting about the way that he prayed, which, by the way, is not typical.
In his heart.
Yeah. So the servant's prayer was in his heart. What does that mean?
He was feeling it, not actually saying it.
Yeah, it's not audible. It's something he's was speaking in his heart. So he is thinking, not speaking out loud. Why is that significant in this story?
Because no one heard it but himself and God.
Yeah. In particular, Rebecca didn't hear it. It'd be one thing if he had said it out loud and Rebecca overhears this, and then she's like, aha, this is my chance. And so she does what he says because she knows what he wants to hear. So it's clear that in this passage, Rebecca did not overhear anything. Hear the prayer. This is from God. It's not her taking advantage of what she heard. She didn't know. This is God did this. God arranged this. So his secret prayer is I think significant in this context, because that's not typically how they prayed. Typically people prayed out loud when they prayed. That's why Jesus would tell his disciples, go into your closet and pray. Get out of there. And why we know what Jesus prayed when he prayed in the garden, because he prays out loud, so we can hear what he's saying. And but in this case, he's praying in his heart. And so he recounts the story, and then the only question is question for Nahor, for Laban, is what?
Are you gonna give her to me or not?
Yes. Basically, Rebecca meets all the requirements. And God led me to her. But it comes down to you now. Will you send her with me or not? So give me an answer. If it works, it works. I'll bring her back. If it doesn't, I'm free from my oath, and I'll just return empty-handed, and we'll figure it out from there. So that's where maybe we'll leave it off here. We can finish up the story when next week. Let's finish up the year. So let me any last comments or questions, you guys?
That was good. It's a pretty involved, long story.
Yes.